When Edgar came out of intensive care, I told him I prayed for him. He said, "Thanks for nothing." I gave Edgar some grapes, and he started going on about what he called the linguistic relativity hypothesis. "The metaphysician, the priest, the nutter, thinks words are things," he said. "They are not. They're just words. Words give us the sensation of having described something or having found something. In fact, they're just arbitrary labels and nothing to do with reality. The metaphysician has created God with mere words. Is reality English? Of course it isn't." Edgar had a grape. "There is no good reason to think language, any language, mirrors the real world. We are trapped in our languages, completely and totally trapped. A language in relation to its speaker is outside the speaker's reference. We can't talk about language just as you can't use a tool to fix itself." Edgar had another grape. "The way we see the world is arbitrary, not set in stone. It is dependent on a mere agreement to organize in one way rather than another. Our language spheres are not products of the real world. Language does not express nature's nature in its grammar. We have made our languages up. You see what that means?" I didn't. "It means we're talking shit." Edgar had another grape. "Despite their spelling, the word and the world are not intimately acquainted. As a matter of fact, they may well never have met. The metaphysician cuts everything up according to his language. Things become either or. The metaphysician plants letters on the moon. He colonizes space with words. It is one small step for man, one giant impossible leap for language. Everything is neatly divided up into word categories like the absolute and mere perception. Heaven and hell. The metaphysician has infected reality with the dualism found within his language. He has attempted to grammatize the world. He imposes on the world linguistic distinctions. He cuts, snips. Snip, snip, snip goes the metaphysician." Edgar blinked or winked, then had another grape. "The metaphysician smashes words on the world. He claims the world echoes his words when all we can really hear is silence." Edgar put his good hand to his ear and froze for a moment, then shouted so loudly that he accidentally removed the drip from his arm and fell out of bed. What Edgar Malvoy had shouted as he fell out of his bed was this: "Language has raped the world!" When the nurses had Edgar back in bed and reinserted his drip, they tried to insist that I leave and let Edgar rest. Edgar said he hadn't finished yet. "The metaphysician masturbates with words, but thinks he is having an intimate relationship with the real world. He's carried along by his grand, unfounded assumption that reality is written in his language." With that, Edgar Malvoy passed out. He remained deeply committed to both his guessing and linguistic relativity hypotheses for the whole of his short life. I was confident back then that both hypotheses were utterly false. Just as I was about to leave Edgar unconscious in his hospital bed, he woke up, grabbed hold of my push bar with his good arm, and asked me if it was possible to disagree with someone violently, absolutely, to consider them immoral and nuts, and yet still love them. I told him I thought it was a long shot.